Christian Whiton is a former State Department senior advisor and author of Smart Power Between Diplomacy and War. Christian, thank you for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks.
So now we've got the president targeting Vladimir Putin's chief of staff, 19 other individuals, as well as a Russian bank that provides them support. Is the United States doing enough?
No, I don't think so. You know, Secretary of State Kerry was over there before the vote in Crimea saying that there would be an arrest options that would be brought to bear against Russia, that they would pay severe consequences, that the consequences would get worse and worse and worse. And all that's happened is about 19 individuals being sanctioned, people who probably never would have traveled to the U.S., who don't have any assets in our jurisdictions, who would really be affected by this. Really not that much has happened. So Vladimir Putin, again, is marching into another country. He did this in the nation of Georgia. Now he did it in Ukraine and is basically pushing on an open door.
So now we've got Russia responding with sanctions on 9 U.S. officials, including U.S. Senator John McCain, Senator Daniel Coats, House Speaker John Boehner made the list, also U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor Caroline Atkinson. I can continue to read this list off here, but my question to you is Russia looking a lot tougher than the United States?
Well, yeah, I think as with the sanctions we placed on their individuals, these individuals were highly unlikely to want to visit Russia anytime soon. What's more important, I think, is what Putin is thinking as far as his next step, and the option of going into other parts of Ukraine, or the model he set up that he basically has the right to march into any part of the former Soviet Union that has a large Russian-speaking population is very dangerous, because that could have him going into Latvia and Estonia, the Baltic states, which are part of NATO. That would mean war between the U.S. and Russia. So we really do have an incentive to try and deter him, step away from sort of the tit-for-tat and do real things that deter Vladimir Putin.
By real things, are you talking military force?
Yeah, not involving U.S. forces directly. I wouldn't have done what the president did, which is saying that we're not going to involve ourselves in Ukraine. Ukraine has demonstrated a willingness, if it goes beyond Crimea, to fight for themselves. There are still a number of things we can do without taking the burden ourselves. We can provide materiel, munitions, we can provide intelligence, surveillance, logistics, airlift. But by saying we're not going to do anything military, we rule all of that out. Also, President Obama speaks for NATO without consulting our NATO allies, acting unilaterally without deference to our allies. He's basically guilty of the things that Democrats accused George W. Bush of doing.
Well, how do you respond, Christian, to the argument that we can't afford to help militarily right now?
Yeah, it's just simply not true. We have a $16 trillion economy. I'm not saying we should get involved, but, America is only in decline if we decide it's in decline. We spend $3.6 trillion, the federal budget, on a lot of trivial things, $1 billion to $3 billion in loan guarantees, some of which don't cost the Treasury anything up front, to Ukraine to prop up its military, to get its economy going again, especially if we also have the Europeans chip in. This is something we can afford. The military only costs 1/5 of the federal budget. And incidentally, if you took today's revenues of about $3 trillion and just went back to 2008 spending levels, we would have a balanced budget. Again, America is only in decline if we decide it's in decline.
Christian, thank you very much for